the Westbury Newcastle branch of the NAACP. Trustee for the Westbury School Board and President of the Caucus of Black School Board Members. Robin is a lifelong resident of the town of Hempstead, where she currently serves on the Board of Ethics Committee. Without further ado, I present our moderator for the evening, Ms. Robin Garrison Bolling.
Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure and honor to be here to serve as the moderator for this election. As we know, all elections are important, from local, town, village, state, national. So it is very good that everyone is here, because to be a voter is best to be an educated voter. Now, I understand that there's been a lot of things happening in our community when it comes to voting. And sometimes we don't always get it right. But the most important thing is we're here for the people. We're here for the community. We're here for each other. So without further ado, I'm just gonna ask the trustees to give me 1 minute, 60 seconds, and tell me about yourself. I'm gonna start with you, Mr. Whitaker.
Good evening. My name is William Whitaker. I'm a 17-year resident of the Village of Hempstead. I hail from the great borough of Brooklyn, New York. I serve as the Civic Association President for Surrey Estates, and I am also proud to stand tonight as a candidate for the trustee in the Village of Hempstead. I am fostered by my drive and my eagerness to serve this village. I am a collaborator, I am a communicator, and my entire life has been that to servitude. I am a former congressional aide to the Honorable Congressman Adolphus Towns, and it is my pleasure to be here tonight. Thank you.
Good evening to each and every one of you that is here. My name is Tanya Carter. I am a resident of the Village of Hempstead. I purchased my home over 20 years ago with my children. I raised my children here, and because of that, I am deeply invested in the Village of Hempstead, and I am committed to ensuring that we continue to allow this village to move forward in a positive way. I will bring my life skills to the Village of Hempstead with extensive experience in government. I have served 3 mayors. I have served 2 county executives. I have worked for a comptroller. I am president of a company that is building a housing development in Freeport. I will bring all of those skills to the Village of Hempstead. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Clarona Griffith. I am your Hempstead Village trustee, and I serve your community. I've lived in this community for over 40 years. I'm a graduate of the Hempstead High School, a proud graduate. I was born in Guyana. I'm a part of the Salvation Army. I'm also a business owner within this community, so I provide jobs for the residents within this community. I'm also currently under Salvation Army. I own Mini Me Kitty Daycare Children and Youth Hub Station, and I would also like to mention I'm also a part of the Hempstead Chamber of Commerce. One more thing I'd like to mention is that I also am a part of this community. I have slept outside to bring awareness to the homeless situation that's been happening in this community to help house 37 non-documented residents. I'm invested, and everything they mentioned, I'm already done. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kevin Ramirez, and I just want to start off by saying thank you to everyone for being here, and thank you for the NAACP for hosting this event. I am a proud Hempstead resident, but I'm also of proud Guatemalan descent. My parents came to this country to give me a better opportunity, and to give you guys a better opportunity. I want to work for everybody here. I want to be an advocate for everybody here. I love this community. I grew up here in Hempstead. I went to the Hempstead School District. I graduated from NAACP with an associate's degree in criminal justice. And I graduated from SUNY Old Westbury in a degree, in a criminology degree. Thank you.
Okay, so we've heard our introductions. We're gonna jump right in. So we have incumbents and we have challengers. I wanna speak to some of the challengers. What is it that you can contribute if elected to this board? Mr. Whitaker?
Thank you. As I said, having lived here for 17 years, I've witnessed firsthand the declining of this village. And in these past 4 years, I have been compelled and I am elated to see the areas that have been progressive under the leadership of our current mayor, Mayor Waylon Hobbs. I believe that my skills, my communication, I believe that my personal skills, my ability to deal with all walks of life, all ages of life, that I will be hands down, foot down, and that I will be a voice, an ear, and I will speak for the people of the Village of Hempstead as we go forth in the quality of life. I have a motto, and my motto is, we live here.
Thank you, Mr. Whitaker. Ms. Carter, same question to you as well.
As trustee, I would bring my experience in government and in development to the Village of Hempstead. In addition, I would bring my skills with the children. I work with troubled youth, and I help them find another option to what they were doing. I helped them secure jobs. I had a scholarship. I gave out 10 scholarships to SUNY Old Westbury and Malloy College last year. I would bring those resources. Within my years in government, I have established relationships on the town level, on the state level. I would bring those relationships to the village to be a benefit to the Village of Hempstead. Not just help our youth, but also help our seniors who has worked for many years. Some are still working. I would bring all of my experiences in government, within development, and my resources to help them secure schooling and job placement. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ramirez, the same question to you.
So, because I am young, I have youthfulness behind me. I'm willing to learn. I'm very patient. I also work with kids. I work at a daycare for 6 years. I've worked my way from assistant teacher to currently director. I love children. And I'm also bilingual. I can speak and advocate for this whole community. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, you can hear me. All right. So there has been a lot of shootings. There's been a lot of crime in the past few years. There have been. Let me just be clear. The questions that I have, these are questions from you. I am reading directly from what you text or emailed in. So that's where these questions are coming from. The past few years, there have been several shootings and shots fired within the vicinity of the Hempstead schools. What have you done, or what will you do to keep the students safe? Why? Oh, that's one question. And I'm going to start with you, Mr. Whitaker. You know what? I'm going to let you have a seat. Ms. Corona, can you speak, please?
Good evening, everybody. Once again, I would like to say, I don't know, is my mic working? Okay. So one of the things that I can say that I would do first is to give a support. Can you hear me? Give support to our police department the way that it needs to be given. We also need to use our cops that we currently have right now that is detective actually the detail for the police department, we can put them to the streets to be able to solve some of the crimes that's happening. So I would utilize the police department in a much better way, because right now I feel that we can utilize those top cops just like everybody else and put them to work, and also bring relationship with Nassau County. We can get the assistance from them as well. That's what we need to do. Thank you.
Mr. Ramirez.
Firstly, we got to recognize that there is a problem within Hempstead. We got to realize, everybody has to realize that there is a high crime in this area. And then we would need to work with the police. We would need to support the police. We also need to work with our nonprofit organizations in order to create programs to better help our youth who are we're leading our youth into crime. Not all of us specifically, but there are people who do lead our youth into crime. So we need to work with our nonprofit program, our CDA, in order to create programs to help these youth, to lead them in a different direction. Thank you.
Well, what I would do is continue to work with the mayor and the police department. The crime has been down. I would work with the Village of Hempstead. Crime is down. Our police there's more of a police presence. Wherever I go, I see the police, and whenever I would have had to call, they come at a record time. I've not noticed any of a problem. I would continue to work with the police with what they are already doing, because the crime has gone down in the Village of Hempstead.
Just to add to what have already been said, crime definitely is lowered in the Village of Hempstead. We have more police officers now in these past 4 years than we had 4 years ago. And so if we will keep moving in the direction that our mayor is taking us, the modern technology, and we'll probably get into it later when we talk about the new One Helen Keller Way, the modern technology will help us to be able to track crime better, and we will implement programs for our young people that will keep them off of the street and not in the jails.
Okay, so there are. Hello.
Outside voice.
Okay. So there are several vacant. Why are there several buildings vacant on southern end of Main Street, such as the Bank Building, former Woolworth Building, and Nakasaki's? As trustees or candidates as trustees, what would be your suggestion to the mayor, or what would you collectively suggest happen in those buildings? Ms. Griffin?
Repeat the question.
Okay, so my mic is not working. My question was, there were several buildings, vacant buildings in the community. What would be their suggestion? What would be their idea to get these buildings filled with things? What would they do as trustees and as a collective trustee unit? What would they do to get rid of the vacant buildings in the community?
As a village trustee, one of the things that I would actually do, first of all, is of course work with the mayor, because we can only advocate what we need to see. We need to work with our Hempstead Chamber of Commerce, and we need to bridge the gap with our CDA, our Community Development Agency. We also need to include the planning board as well to bring in more family entertainment, more programs for our seniors, more things to keep the community engaged, because we don't have any family entertainment centers. We don't have any movie theaters. We don't have any skating rink. We only have Chuck E. Cheese. That's it. So our Community Development Agency, the problem is that they're not connected. Everybody is disconnected. So I think it's important for us to connect everybody together, working alongside of the mayor. That's something we need to do. And also I'd just like to add is that I don't know what happens with the police department sometimes, because we don't get the full report. So I just like to put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Carter, same question to you.
Well, what I would do is work with the CDA. as I stated, there is a lot of movement going on in the Village of Hempstead. There are a lot of businesses coming in, but there are businesses that I would like to bring in. As I would like to have a 5-star restaurant. Someone, I think you mentioned Nakasaki's. Bring back a 5-star restaurant. Bring a restaurant like a family restaurant. When family comes in, we don't have to go to Garden City. We don't have to go to Rockville Center. We can stay right in the Village of Hempstead. We are a family and we live here. Let's keep our money here. Make some programs for our children. Make something for our youth, our seniors, but keep the money in the Village of Hempstead with us.
All right, Mr. Whitaker.
If we do a thorough real estate search, we will find out that 2 of those buildings that have been vacant longer than 4 years. Those buildings have been vacant. They're not even owned by the Village of Hempstead. One of them now is really in foreclosure. But what I really want us to understand is that there are a lot of things that are happening in the Village of Hempstead, and the revitalization program is going to bring so many entertainment, so many things that are attractive. But once we get out of Hempstead, the things that are not attractive, and the reason why people do not want to come to Hempstead to do things, we'll be able to build and rebuild, and we will be a better village because we live here.
Mr. Ramirez, did I hear from you? All right, let's go.
So, like they said before, we got to work with the CDA. We actually have to keep our CDA working. They're not doing their job right now. We need more from them. They need to revitalize our community. They're there for a reason. We have to utilize them. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I hear everything that you said, and it's great to hear all of that. And as educated voters and those of us that are involved in our community, we just don't come out to this one-time session. I'm quite sure a lot of you have been out to several different meetings, the village meeting, the town meeting, the CDA meeting, the IBA meeting. All of those meetings we need to attend, so we're educated voters and we know what we're talking about when we ask these questions. So I have this question because we've heard a lot, and we've heard a lot. So this question here says, many projects in Hempstead don't quite make it to the finish line. Details are left unfinished, maintenance is inadequate, and things fall into disrepair. Will you commit to the completion of road work, signage, sidewalks, and lighting, code enforcement, clean streets instead of mean streets as the Main Street projects are completed? So I'm going to start down there with Ms. Griffith. Ms. Griffith.
I believe the question you asked, could you just repeat it one more time, please?
Many projects in Hempstead don't quite make it to the finish line. Details are left unfinished, maintenance is inadequate, and things fall in disrepair. Will you commit to the completion of road work, signage, sidewalks, and lighting, code enforcement, and clean streets instead of mean streets as the Main Street projects are completed?
Yes, I will definitely commit to that, and I have already committed to that, because I believe that our residents deserve the best. And that's the reason why I decided that I wanted to run again, because right now we're not getting what we really deserve. When we drive down the street, we have holes in it, and we're not getting our full money that our taxpayers are paying for. So to me, it's important to commit to these things. The quality life is important for all residents. Those that live in the apartment building, those that are paying taxes, it's important for every single person. So I would commit to that to 110%. I would also like to just mention, because I know I have a few more minutes, that under this administration, yes, the question is, why isn't the businesses done? The administration is here. What happened before? So now all of a sudden you get 4 more years, now you're going to fix these things? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. Why isn't it done? Why are the business not? What is the problem why the CDA is not doing what they're supposed to do? Too much micromanaging. Allow the employees to do what they're hired to do, and that's what they need to do.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Whitaker. Mr. Whitaker?
As a candidate for the Village of Hempstead trustee, I would commit, as I foresaid, I would commit to continue the work that have already been started. I'm not sure where everybody lives, but streets have been paved in many areas of the Village of Hempstead. There are town roads, there are village roads. However, if your road is on the list, perhaps every first and third Tuesday, if you come to the village board meeting, fill out a form, you'll be able to speak and ask about your particular street. But there are streets, there are progress with lightings, there's so many things that are in progress, and yes, I believe that 4 more years would help bring those things into fruition.
Mr. Ramirez, same question. Would you like me to read it again? Okay.
Of course, we see a lot of our streets broken, especially after it started snowing. When the trucks came through, a lot of our streets began to break again. We don't see any readiness. We don't see people going out and fixing our streets. We need people to come out and fix our streets. Thank you.
If you vote for me to be a trustee, I would be a member of the legislative body. I would have a fiduciary responsibility to the village residents. That means I would have a responsibility to serve you. I will not say what was done or what was not done, but you can hold me accountable. I would make sure that the roads would be done. You can make sure that I would be responsible for making sure that where we live, when the snow comes down, that the snow will be plowed, that our tax money will not be used for anything other than for the residents of the Village of Hempstead. The question was, will I make sure that the streets will be paved? Yes, ma'am, I will make sure. That would be my job to do so as a trustee of the Village of Hempstead.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. The next question, it says, with all of the insults and allegations being spewed by current and running candidates, once a team is elected, will you all work together to continue the vision for Hempstead, since we can all agree that Hempstead is the focus and making it a better place to live and work? Mr. Whitaker, I'm going to start with you.
Can you just repeat that question so that I can...
Yes. Okay. Oh, come on. Hello? 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 Okay. All right. Y'all bear with us, okay? Grace and mercy for us, okay? We trying to get all the questions asked and answered. All right. So the question was, with all the insults and allegations being spewed by current and running candidates, once a team is elected, will you all work together to continue the vision for the Hempstead community, since we can all agree that Hempstead is the focus and making it a better place to live and work?
Thank you for repeating the question. I am committed to work with the administration that is elected by the residents of the Village of Hempstead, because the residents are the most important people. And if we're going to continue to work toward the quality of life for the residents, we will have to work together. We may differ in opinion, and we will differ in opinion, but the one main common cause is the residents of the Village of Hempstead. I am not speaking as a current trustee. I am speaking as a candidate selected by a screening committee to work with a mayor and 3 other trustees. I will commit to do what we are asked to do according to the laws of the Village of Hempstead trustee.
Thank you, Mr. Whitaker. Ms. Griffin.
That's a very good question. I would definitely be committed to working with the board. But however, I'm committed to make sure that the people get what they deserve. So if I need to call you out, I will do that. I'm not going to tell you that every day I'm going to sit there and go yes to every single thing. Because if it's not right, I'm going to speak about it. If it's not right, I'm going to say something about it. And I'm going to say it loud and clear. Why? Because that's what the people elect me to do, to speak on their behalf. And I also like to mention, since I have a little bit of time, the people should have their roads paved. That's a given. They should have lights. That's a given. That's not something that we should be sitting there saying, why don't we have? We should have. They have it in Garden City. They have it in Rockville Center. So why are we sitting here right now asking? And if Mrs. Carter mentioned the facts about the tax dollars, guess what? The tax dollars are not being used properly. So that's the problem. It's being overspent. Thank you. Under mayor's current detail company. So let's put it out there.
Thank you, Ms. Griffin. Mr. Ramirez.
Yes, I think it's important for all of us to work together. Right now we need unity. For you guys, for the residents, for us. I'm a resident as well. We need unity. We need to stop the bickering. Maybe we'll disagree here and there, but we need to stop the bickering and unite. We are the people. We are the residents. We need to work together.
Thank you. Ms. Carter.
I definitely agree that we should be united, because united we stand and divided we fall. I don't care what they say about the Village of Hempstead. I get along with my neighbors, and I get along with everyone that I know on this platform. There's history here with everybody on this platform, and I know how to disagree without being disrespectful. I know how to disagree without being disrespected. I know how to carry myself. You can hold me accountable to be respectful, respected, and to act like a trustee for the Village of Hempstead. I will carry myself to know that, listen, I don't have to agree with you, but I do have to respect you. And I will continue to do that wherever after this election and now.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. So this question says, overcrowded, unsafe, and prohibited housing units are a hazard to everyone who resides in the Village of Hempstead. They impact schools, public safety, sanitation, traffic, and parking. At the same time, dishonest landlords and squatters exploit people who feel they have no other place to go. Do you agree with that? That has a major impact on our schools and our quality of life. What would you do about that as a trustee, Mr. Ramirez?
I would bring all these issues that residents are having, all these issues that they're having about the renters to the mayor. We need to work with our mayor. We need to work with other trustees. So we need to bring these issues to the mayor. Our mayor is supposed to be working for the people. We need to advocate for the people. We are supposed to be advocating for the people. We bring these issues to the mayor, and we'll think of ways to be able to help these residents.
Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. Ms. Carter, what would you do with this?
Could you repeat the question?
Overcrowded, unsafe, and prohibited housing units are a hazard to everyone who resides in the Village of Hempstead. That impacts schools, public safety, sanitation, traffic, and parking. At the same time, dishonest landlord and squatters exploit people who feel they have no other place to go. Do you agree with that? And this has a major impact on our schools. How would you address that?
Well, I would start with using the services that we have in the Village of Hempstead, which is the building department. If you're stating that there are illegal people renting or squatters, we would utilize the building department or the police We do have a housing epidemic, and it's not just a village issue, it's a nationwide issue. But that's why we have the revitalization development. There is a project going up right now on Main Street to bring more apartments, legal apartments, to be able to house some of the residents. In addition, the school issue we have is not just because of the school issue, is that we have so many different options for the children to use, not just public schools, private schools, and charter schools. And so that's something that will take its time with the school board, really not the trustee, but I would love to work with the school board if asked.
Ms. Griffith?
Well, first, I would like to say just yesterday we put a moratorium in place to deal with some of the subdividing of property, and a lot of people was there. So that was one thing that was actually done, and I voted yes for that because we don't need any more subdivision in our community. So that's one thing. So we did that just yesterday, a board collectively together. So we do work together. We don't always agree, but we do work together when it comes to certain things, especially when it's for the benefit of the community. Another thing I think that would be in place is the good cause law that I asked to be put in place on January the 24th. And that's going to hold landlords accountable for what they do. And I do have a great relationship with the school district, because I own a school within the village and I provide jobs. So the relationship I have is good with them, and I think that's something that needs to continue. Why? Because when people look at what district they're coming into, they look at not only the school, but they also look at the village as a whole. And I'd also like to mention, because I have a few more minutes,
Mr. Whitaker.
Very quickly, I just want to say concerning the overcrowding. Once we enforce the code, the laws for the housing, I'm not sure how many of you are aware, but there are many of our houses that have been subdivided on one lot. There are houses that have 3 bedrooms that have been turned into 7 bedrooms. They're splitting houses, so the overcrowding is because these landlords are not being held accountable. There is property that no one can find information on, and when you get the information, there's a house already going up, and there are 8 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms and 22 people living. And if we pay more attention, and as a trustee, I told you that I'm going to be hands-on, I'm going to be feet-on, I'm going to be ears, eyes, and a voice for the people.
Thank you, Mr. Whitaker. So this is just a question to all our trustees. What are your thoughts on the pilot program? Ms. Carter?
Pilot stands for payment in lieu of taxes. And it is in that time where they are negotiating during a period of time. I am not a sitting trustee, but I am aware that you would use that time of negotiating to negotiate some community gain, some gain for the residents of the Village of Hempstead. So within that time, there's negotiations on what the pilot, like with payment in lieu of, it would be some benefit gain for the community.
Thank you. Mr. Ramirez.
I believe.
hello?
Hello? Okay. So pilots are both good and bad. They're bad in the sense that they can span over years, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. But it's good in the fact that it brings benefits to the community. So what we need to do for these pilots is lessen the amount of time they're given and give them some kind of 90 days in which they give those community benefits. Because we can't keep waiting 50 years for our community to get these benefits.
Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. Mr. Whitaker, what do you say?
Since the pilot program serves as a financial arrangement to the local government that will offset the tax revenue I believe that if we work with all of the agencies that are possible, we will be able to do what we need to do and to bring what we need to bring to help this village. It's all about the quality of life. It's all about enhancing where we live and helping. We will not lower taxes, but we don't want higher taxes. So we would like to be able to work so that we can stabilize the taxes for the residents of the Village of Hempstead.
Okay. So one of the things about pilot, as mentioned as everybody here, I am a sitting trustee, but however, I have never voted on any pilot. Let me put it out there. This is done normally by the IDA board, and I'm not on the IDA board, whereas by the town, just so everybody could get a better understanding. What I would like to mention, there is good pilots and there are also bad pilots. The one thing about the pilots that I have to say is that we need to hold them accountable for what they say they're going to do in the community. And we're not holding them accountable. Look at the storage place. I took a tour there when they first opened up, and they said they were going to put a community center. Guess what? It's a beautiful building, but there's no community center. There is nobody overseeing what's happening. So what we need to do is cut the pilot shorter, if they're going to have a pilot, and make sure that somebody overseeing, which this is not happening right now, and the people are the ones that's not getting the good quality of life. And what revenue are we getting if we're now holding those people accountable? So there's no money to come, because guess what? Nobody is following behind them. Follow the money. Bring back the money. Thank you.
Okay. So we will not take any questions from the floor. I got all the questions here, okay? So all of the questions have been sent to me, and they've been sent to the president, so all the questions are here. So I'm going to ask the next question. What will you do to make sure the village gets the fair share of federal and state funding? Ms. Carter?
Well, I would work with the mayor, and I would continue with my judiciary responsibility to the village of the residents, and look at the services that we need, look at what is not really being addressed when we receive it, and work towards assisting our community. I am a very community-minded person. As I stated, I help youth, I help seniors, I help residents, and if there is a time when I'm given to speak with them, I will make sure that our funding is going to the places that it needs to go.
Mr. Whitaker?
I believe that this is where the revitalization program comes in to a degree. Because when we are working to increase funding, when we can gain access to state and federal funding, it will help boost projects, economic growth, and Hempstead as a whole. If what we really need to do is look at where we are, look at what we're doing, and look at what we are contributing. It is important that we seek agencies that is going to help us further the quality of life for the Village of Hempstead. There is money that can come into this village, and so we must seek those agencies to bring the money into the village, and yes, I agree, and use it for what we are asking for, and it will rebuild our community.
I would also like to mention the fact that I will continue to do what I have been doing. I'm a part of the Long Island Lobbying Coalition, so I travel to Albany, and I also lobby, and I sit there amongst our legislators, I sit there amongst our state senators, and we discuss different funding that the Hempstead deserve. So I will continue to support the mayor in trying to get funds. So I wouldn't just wait. I would also continue to lobby like I have been doing, and I have been seeing some of the funds come in. So I will continue to do that and pay close attention to what's in the governor's budget and bring it back to our CDA and tell them, because when we get information, we might not be able to apply for it ourselves, but provide it to the right departments so they can apply for those different grants so we can continue to bring the money into the village. Thank you.
Mr. Ramirez?
We need our CDA to function effectively. We need to start lobbying for the money to come into Hempstead. We need to apply for the governor's budget. we have a lot of options to bring this money in. Hempstead deserves that money.
Okay, this is going to be our last and final question. But before I go there, I just would like to say that everybody in this room that has listened to these candidates and incumbents, I hope this isn't the first time you've come to a meeting and you listen to them and you talk to them. It's easy to sit here and drill questions into them, but it's also easier to stop and speak to them and say, listen, this is what's going on. How can we help? How can we help you help us? So we have to remember as a community, it's our job to help our elected officials get the things they need. As we all know, there's lobbying in Albany, and we all need to get there, and we need to let those people know what's happening in our community so that it's just not one voice speaking, it's 25 voices speaking. We all know that there's an issue going on here in our district with school, with charter schools, with funding for our district. We as a people have to continue to let our voices be heard. We have to stand with our leaders, and when our leaders say, come out, we need to go, we need to write letters, please, let's continue to support the leaders and support the organizations that are doing things here. So our final question is to all our candidates. How will the community benefit from you if you're elected? Mr. Whitaker.
I will show up, I will stand up, and I will speak up for the residents of the Village of Hempstead.
Thank you, Mr. Whitaker. Mr. Ramirez?
Like Mr. Whitaker said, I also will show up. I want to work hard for this community. I want to be able to advocate for everybody. I want to be the voice for the people who aren't heard. Thank you.
I will work on projects to bring in business to the Village of Hempstead. I will work with our youth.
I will work on projects to bring in more programs for our youth and our seniors. I will work to bring restaurants and businesses to the Village of Hempstead. I will make sure that I help our youth get jobs, get colleges. I will help them open doors. I have established so much relationships in government. I will use that for the Village of Hempstead, and I will make sure no child is left behind. Whether they want to go to school or whether they want to just get a job, I will be there for our children, for our seniors, for our businesses, and I will make sure that our money stays in the Village of Hempstead.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. Ms. Griffin?
Well, instead of saying I would like to change that to I have. I have done just what everybody at this table mentioned. When it came to the homeless, like I said, I didn't just walk with everybody. I actually made sure that when people didn't have housing, I slept outside in the cold, the bitter cold, inside a vehicle to bring awareness. That tells you the type of person I am. I'm going to continue to listen. I'm a part of the Hempstead Chamber of Commerce, so I'm going to continue to build our business. I'm going to continue to travel all the way to Albany to make sure that I get the money. I'm going to continue to make sure that the landlords are held accountable so the taxpayers and the people that are living in apartment buildings have a good life. I'm going to make sure that the seniors don't have to worry about the rats and the roaches. I'm going to make sure that I support this village with my voice and speak up when you can't speak for yourself. And I'm always going to respect those that say anything to me because I believe in giving respect. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we give a round of applause for all the candidates and the incumbents? All righty. You guys okay? We need to stand up and move around a little bit. I know we're getting a little antsy and we all want something to say. But now we're going to start to talk to our mayor and the candidate for mayor. Give me 1 second, please.
I'm going to suggest that we introduce the Honorable Brianna Vaughn, being that she's running on a poll.
Yes. Woodstock in Hempstead. Yes. Let's give her another round of applause. That's Woodstock in Hempstead.
Those mics are definitely tricky.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? So, I am Brianna Vaughn. I am the Village Justice in the Incorporated Village of Hempstead. 4 years ago, you all elected me as the youngest judge in New York State, and I am vying for that seat again. Since I've taken office in the last 4 years, I have brought the Hempstead Village Court from a failing court to the #1 village court in New York State. Just to address some of the questions that were posed to all of the trustee candidates, the court has been attacking quality of life issues. We have been fining all of the landlords that we find have subdivided housing and that are overcrowded. So we are fining them at max fines between $3,000 and $10,000. So we are hitting them in their pockets to stop this action because we know that this should not happen. I am hoping that you all go to the polls on March 18th and vote row A all the way, and please vote for me. I am running unopposed. I believe that I'm supported by all parties involved, and I thank you all for being here tonight.
Thank you. So now, I'm going to ask Mr. Kevin Boone to stand and give us a brief 90 seconds, not 90 seconds, I'm sorry, 60 seconds. Tell us who you are.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you for the NAACP for putting this together. My name is Kevin Boone. I'm a lifelong resident of the Incorporated Village of Hempstead, born and raised here. All right? Before I became a trustee, I actually worked for the village for over 30 years in various different departments. So I have an idea of how the village works. I'm also a volunteer fireman here for over 29 years. I give my blood, sweat, and tears to this village. I graduated Hempstead High School in 1988. So I have a love for this village like no other. Some people say I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I do. That's because I care. I'm out shoveling snow as a trustee, helping out my neighbors down the block, seniors, whomever. I'm out there for people when they call me, Kev, can you come over here and see about this issue? I get up and I go. That's the type of person I am. That's the type of person that you're going to get from me as a mayor. A person that cares and that listens.
Thank you, Mr. Boone. You really don't need any introduction, but I'm going to give you your 60 seconds and let the people know who you are.
First of all, I want to say thank you to the NAACP, to our moderator tonight, and also would like to take a moment to remember Dr. Hazel Dukes and the work that she has contributed to. My name is Waylon Hobbs Jr. I am the mayor of the Incorporated Village of Hempstead. I was born and raised in Hempstead. I'm an over 50-year member of the Hempstead Village. I grew up on Martin Luther King Drive, which was Wilklow. Any Wilklow folks in the house? And when we had an opportunity to purchase our first house, we bought it here in Hempstead on Leverett Street. When we were able to get a second house, we didn't move out of Hempstead, but we stayed in Hempstead because we care about Hempstead. We want to see what's best for Hempstead, and that's what we want to continue to do. Thank you.
Okay, so one of the biggest questions that has been running through this list, I started this way. Mr. Boone, if elected as mayor, do you think you need a costly security detail?
Honestly, no. I believe that money that's spent on the police detail needs to go back to I'll say over, I believe it was $400,000 for last year of a police detail for the mayor, where that money could have been put back into the infrastructure here for the village and other necessary things that are needed for the village, whether it be jobs, the streets, lighting, whatever it may be. But I don't need a police detail or a new car that's going to cost the village residents over $175 plus, which she actually bought not too long ago, probably hidden somewhere in this village. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Boone. I'm gonna give you the same question. How would you describe your security detail, and why do you need a security detail?
First of all, I'd like to make a correction that Trustee Boone said. When he said that security detail is $400,000, that is not true. What Trustee Boone did was ask the police department how much was overtime for out of the 6 officers that are assigned to the detail. That overtime included when they make arrests, when they go to court. It wasn't about the security detail. He didn't know what to look for. The second thing is, when I became mayor, when we crack down on crime is down in the Village of Hempstead. When we have shut down major drug operations in the Village of Hempstead, when we get threatening letters with decapitated heads and stuff, the police decided that they would assign me a detail. We have closed down businesses in the Village of Hempstead that were selling drugs, that were selling things to our young people. When you make change, a lot of people are not happy. Again, that decision was by the police department. I am a former investigator. I am licensed to carry a gun, but the police department decided it'd be better to have a detail than be shooting somebody.
Thank you, Mayor Hobbs. I'm going to just keep it real. It's Mayor Hobbs, because that's what your job is. So I'm going to keep it real. Mayor Hobbs. So my next question is, how do you utilize the resources of your village board? Mr. Boone, what would you do with the resources of the village board?
It depends on what capacity you're talking about the trustees, am I correct?
Yes, this question didn't really go into too much detail, but it just says the resources of the village board. So I'm going to ask one question. How about because we've been talking about housing and things of that, code enforcement. That's one of the resources of the village board.
Well, I would make sure that all of the departments are held accountable and everybody's actually doing their jobs. That's first and foremost. Because like you said, in housing, we shouldn't have all the issues of the people parking in the grass, all the other, like, how can you say, all the other subdivision properties going up. I'm not saying it's all of their fault, because a lot of things happen when the building department is off the clock. So a lot of these developers know that after 5 or after 4:15 on a Friday, they don't have to worry about these people until, again, on Monday morning. But what I would do would be to put out maybe some part-time building department workers out there to catch these people as they're doing these things in the act. As far as the other quality of life issues, the building department should, like I said, be driving around a little bit more and keeping an eye on what's going on, so that we don't incur these problems.
Thank you, Mr. Boone. Mayor Hobbs?
Sure. So with the Board of Trustees, it's every mayor assigns each year trustees to the departments, whether it's sanitation, whether it's DPW, or the building department. So that's how we utilize the trustees as they assign to those departments to work. Unfortunately, when trustees separate themselves, and then they are not in the know, because I am surprised that our trustees do not realize that in the 4 years that we've been in office, that we have brought in $100 million in funding to the Village of Hempstead. That we have repaved more roads in 4 years than has been done in many years. But that's when you work together. We assign our trustees to departments. Any information that they need, they're able to get. That's how you do it. A trustee's responsibility is to assist the mayor in the overall running of the village. And so for trustees to say that what they will do if they get reelected, they should be doing it now.
Thank you. Mr. Boone, are you willing to allow the residents to voice their complaints and concerns at board meetings?
Absolutely. I would never shut any of the residents down at a board meeting. Matter of fact, I'd at least extend the time that they get to give them some more time to talk and be a mayor that actually listens instead of cutting them off disrespectfully. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boone. Mayor Hobbs?
Sure. I'm a people's person, but I believe that when you have a board meeting, that there has to be some decorum. You cannot come to a meeting, you've given 3 minutes to speak, and if you go past the 3 minutes, you have to stop because you have to allow other people to speak. I'm not the type of mayor that's going to sit back and allow people to be disrespectful. I don't allow people that don't live in the village, like last night at our board meeting, that don't live in the village to try to tell us what to do. So if you're looking for somebody that's going to sit back and be weak, that's not me. I'm going to continue to stand up and demand respect as I give respect.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The next question says, if the current mayor is not successful in his re-election run, would the incoming mayor continue continue his work as the previous mayor, continue to build relationships with those in Washington, D.C., New York State, the Village of Hempstead will continue to be relevant going after available monies, where available, federal, state, Nassau County, to add to the Village of Hempstead coffers. Homeowners need property tax relief. How can they reduce spending ways to offset property taxes for owners? Okay, so that was too much. Let's start from the beginning. Forgive me. I'm reading them just like I'm saying, like I see it. So, if the current mayor is successful in his re-election run, would the incoming mayor continue his work as the previous mayor? So what the question is asking, Mr. Boone, if Mayor Hobbs is re-elected, will you continue to work with him?
No, it was.
Let me finish. Go ahead, Mr. Boone.
I will continue to work with any mayor as if he's re-elected. The thing is, they got to come and work together. The community and government have to come together to work together as one. That's the only way you're going to bring this community up together to make it actually work. You got to stop fighting each other. But you have to have you have to have a mayor that's willing to listen, but also a mayor that's going to get out there and put in the work, which I do put in the work. And a lot of people, everybody out there that knows me, knows my integrity, knows who I am, knows how I am. When I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And I do put in the work. I have put in the work. For the past 4 years, and prior to me being elected, I was doing the work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boone. Now, the rest of the question says, if the current mayor is not successful in his re-election, but the incoming mayor continue the former mayor's work, would you continue to do what Mayor Hobbs has done since you've worked with him and you've agreed with him on several different things? Would you continue his work? What would you do different?
Well, it depends on what that is. There's a myriad of things that I would do different. And there's certain things that you really can't touch because when it comes to certain agreements, you can't pull back from them. So you have to continue on those agreements. But what I would do different one of the things is like having a mayor's advisory board where the village residents, the clergy, the business owners, myself, the head of the CDA, deputy mayor, and one of the police chiefs will be sitting down on a monthly basis to work together to find ways and where we can move together as one as a village. Because every idea that I may have may not be the right idea for the village. You may have an idea that may be right for the village, something that we can put in as a pilot program, see if it works, and then implement it village-wide. So there's a lot of different things that I would do differently. That's just one.
Thank you, Mr. Boone. Mayor Hobbs, what would you continue to do in your role as mayor to encompass your trustees? So we see some division. What would you do to bring us all together?
Have this slate that's running with me elected, vote Bro A all the way. That will make sure that we continue to work together. I want to say this, that it is important that as mayor you build relationships, not just with the trustees, but outside the trustees. Our Chamber of Commerce, and I heard that several times, talking about how the Chamber of Commerce need to do better. Our Chamber of Commerce, under the new president, is doing a great job. We have more businesses engaged than ever before. The problem was we had presidents in the past that didn't even own the business. But we have somebody now that know how to build relationships. It's about putting people in place to do the right thing. Like the superintendent of our parks, the first female black elected. I will continue to make sure our people are in position to do the right thing.
Thank you, Mayor Hobbs. One of the questions here says, how is your relationship with village employees? So, Mr. Boone, you said you were a former village employee.
Correct.
How is your relationship with village employees now?
Hello? Can you hear me? Well, I don't my village, how do you say it?
Your relationship.
My relationship with the village employees is phenomenal. I get along with basically everybody. I've never really had an issue with any of the village employees. Like I said, I've worked in several different departments for over 30 years. So I've gotten to a lot of whom I'm still friends with, whether it be at DPW, sanitation, Parks Department down at DPW, or the water plant. I still talk to these guys either every day or every other day. So we still stay in constant contact, just not talking about the village, but like I said, we came up as friends. We work co-workers, we work together. So my relationship with the village workers is great.
Mayor Hobbs?
Sure. My relationship with the village workers are great. Unlike Trustee Boone, I didn't go from department to department. I started with code enforcement and worked my way as supervisor of code enforcement. I also want to make a correction. They talked about the snow earlier. I am proud of the work that our Department of Public Works has been doing in these past years when it comes to snow removal. You get to see the blacktop like never before, and I always personally commend the workers when they do a great job. I must admit that when I first took office, it wasn't like that. We had people that did not want to work, and I made it simple. Work, retire, or get fired.
Can I just say something regarding what you just said? As a village worker, you have the chance to move from department to department if you like to go after or get to further yourself, whether it's more money or whatever it may be. You don't have to stay in the department that you are. I started in sanitation when I came in '88. I went from there, I believe that I went there to Parks and Shade Tree. From there, I went to, I was a neighborhood aide for a couple of years. So you can move around, and as you move around from the different departments, you move up a different level, you actually are able to earn more money, more income. I had a family, I had a baby. So there's nothing wrong with me going from department to department, but as I'm doing that, I'm actually earning more money for my family. Thank you.
Right. Well, listen, so let me just share this. The issue is that we have many part-time employees that say if you work for Parks and Recreation, the rule before was if a job came open in Parks and Recreation, because you were a part-timer, you couldn't even apply for that job because a full-timer from sanitation could move over to Parks and Recreation. I stopped that because even if you're a part-timer, if you have the experience in that department, you should have a right to move up in that job and not have people move from place to place.
Okay. No. Okay. Now I forgot I had the mic. Okay, we first of all, we're going to have to respect each other.
Yes.
And it's not going to be tit for tat. And everybody knows that once that happens, we lose what we're focusing for.
Yes.
Not
Okay.
tit for tat. I just wanted to say something.
Okay, that's okay. That's all right.
Okay.
That's all right. So what we're going to continue to do, and we're not going to have no rebuttals. We're just going to answer the questions so the people can hear the questions. Okay, y'all?
Yes.
All right. So we were talking about this next question here. Let's go down here. How many new businesses have you brought into the Village of Hempstead? Mayor Hobbs? How many new businesses have you brought into the Village of Hempstead?
Sure. So with working with our new president of our Chamber of Commerce, we have seen more businesses coming to the Village of Hempstead. There was a time that when a business closed in Hempstead, that place stayed vacant for years. When Stop and Shop left, we seen Food Bazaar come. When V&T Supermarket left, we seen another supermarket come. A statement was made at the board meeting that I had nothing to do with that. When Stop and Shop left, I met with the owners that own the whole facility where Home Depot is, and they met with me to want to make sure that it was all right, that I would support Food Bazaar coming in. We are to a place now that when businesses come to Hempstead, they meet with me first to make sure it's something that we want. We're going to have a Chipotle coming in, but again, you have to work with the Chambers of Commerce to help bring those businesses.
Thank you, Mayor Hobbs. Mr. Boone, how would you stimulate business growth as the mayor?
Working with the businesses first and foremost, but before you can stimulate the businesses and bring more businesses in, you have to deal with the reason why most businesses are leaving. It's due to the high theft. A lot of the businesses can't survive because the theft outweighs the overhead, the profits coming in. So a lot of these businesses like Staples had to leave, Stop and Shop had to leave because they couldn't sustain. The thing is, you also have to deal with the panhandling and the other stuff that goes on in the village because nobody wants to come into a village to shop in an area where they have to deal with somebody begging or even a thought about even getting robbed or even seeing somebody run past them with a shopping cart full of food because that store just got robbed. So you have to work with the issues here in the village, dealing with that before you go to bring in new businesses because the businesses, a lot of them don't want to even come.
Thank you, Mr. Boone. So my next question is, we need to talk about our seniors. So we have several questions here about our seniors and the safety of our seniors in their apartment buildings. Mayor Hobbs, what have you done about it? Okay, wait a minute, y'all. Let him speak, okay? I told y'all, grace and mercy, come on.
So we have directed our police officers to do patrols in our senior buildings. They have to, every half an hour, get on the radio and say that they're doing patrols. The issue is not really the police department. In most of the buildings that our seniors are in, they need security. Our police officers have to patrol the entire Village of Hempstead. I can't just dedicate them to the seniors building. We've been asking over and over, even private buildings, that they get security. The real issue is we need more security in these buildings. But until then, we have assigned our officers to do patrol, but they can't stay in there 24 hours.
Mr. Boone, the collective mayor, what would you do about it?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't have a detail watching me and bodyguarding me all over the place. I'd have the police department doing what they're supposed to do, which is serving the residents of the Village of Hempstead. Next thing we could do is have the police department, because we have community policing, have them every once in a while go in those apartment buildings and do what we call verticals. That can be done. Now, working along with the security in those apartments, if they see something, they should say something, call the police, and our police officers should respond. But if you're doing verticals in those buildings and they don't know when you're coming to do the verticals in those buildings, then you're throwing the people off. They'll never know when you're coming. So doing the verticals in the buildings to make the seniors in the buildings feel safe is definitely something that I would do. It's the safety of the seniors is definitely close to my heart, and I will make sure that that's done as mayor.
So we talked about our seniors. Now we're going to talk about our young people. Because if we get our young people more involved in our civic engagement, such as these events here, and if we get our students more involved in taking ownership of where they live, then maybe we can start hiring some of those students to help police some of the buildings. So that can be a program. We talked about giving back. We talked about involving our students. That's something we could start to teach them, right?
Right.
So we have Explorer programs with our Nassau County Police. We could start to have Explorer programs with our village police. That way, we can get our students to think about our elders. We can get our students and our young people to give back to the community. Once they start to take ownership of where they live, they'll think twice before they go out there and cut up. So let's continue to talk to our children, to talk to our students as elected officials, as people in the community, as leaders, to get them involved. Don't wait till they turn 18 to get them involved. Get them involved at 9, 10, 12, so that way they grow up knowing we got to protect our community. We got to go to grandma's building and check on her. So let's remember to do those things. Let's not pick each other apart about those issues, but let's think of ways we can support each other to support our community to make it better. So we talked about, and we touched on it very, very slightly, but this is something that I want to ask you, both of you, about charter schools and how it's affecting our public school education. So I was in Albany and I've gone to lobby and all those different things, and I learned a whole bunch of different things about how charter schools get to our community. And I also learned that charter schools can't come into your community if their building department doesn't give them a permit. So, what would you do, Mr. Boone, once you get to be mayor? What would you do about that, and how would you address that?
Right now, I believe we are overburdened with charter schools as it is, and nothing against the charter schools. My daughter went to the academy. But I don't believe that we need any more coming in, because as they come in, they pull away from the Hempstead school system's funds. So from what I'm hearing now, we have 2 more that are about to come in. And the thing about it is, I've already, and I know Trustee Griffith also sent a letter to, email to C. Labano, asking her if she could do something from on a state level as to seeing if we could get a cap on that, so that we wouldn't have to deal with any more charter schools coming into the Hempstead School District. Find somewhere else to go.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Boone. Mayor Hobbs, what have you been doing about it, and what will be your plans going forward about charter schools and them getting permits to do the buildings?
Right. So I have to make a correction. Charter schools, one of the issues is, according to the state law now, and we've been advocating for our state legislators, the Village of Hempstead has no zoning authority over charter school. Any other business that comes in Hempstead, they have to go before our zoning and planning. They get that exemption. And so, no, we do not have the power to control them coming, based on the fact that the state right now does not give the local government the authority to zone against charter schools. And the reason why I know this is because I know my opponents over, I travel too much, but you got to be a part of traveling, going upstate to get this information. That's how I know that we don't have the authority to zone. And I believe as a parent, everybody has the right to choose, but we cannot be inundated with too many charter schools.
Correct. So I will tell you this, because we have traveled to Albany, and we were just there, and our very own Silabino did bring that issue to the floor. So that is a resolution for that. Your President, Bobbi Powell, can speak to that. You want to talk about the resolution?
No, I want you to answer the question.
All righty. We've heard our president speak, so let me keep on going. How will the community benefit from your re-election, Mayor Hobbs?
But I continue to move in the right direction that we're going in, to make sure that we continue to get the resources that our village deserves. Like I said, over $100 million in funding to do things that now it is not on the burden of the taxpayers. It's easy for anybody to get up and promise, I'll pave every road, but you gotta pay for it. And if you don't know how to get the funding, then taxes go up. So I want to continue to move in the right direction for the residents of the Village of Hempstead without being a burden to the taxpayers. We just purchased the Helen Keller building to be our new village hall, so that now the residents don't have to go from one end of town to the other end of town to take care of businesses. Everything will be done in that one building. But you have to have the ability to know how to get it.
Thank you, Mayor Howard. Mr. Boone, same question. How will community benefit if you're elected mayor?
Thank you. First of all, you would get a team that's definitely representative of the village. And this team represents the whole village as a whole. As far as us, what would we bring to the table? You'd have a mayor and a village board that listens, that truly cares about this village. And we definitely put the work in, day out. Prior to us being elected officials, we were out there doing that. I was out there doing that as a volunteer fireman here in the Incorporated Village of Hempstead. And so when it comes down to that, and then we also go to NAACP, where we go there to get updated on things that are coming down the pipe, whether it be on the federal level or in federal, state, and everything else, even with the towns. So we do get information that way. There's a lot of things that we may not know because the mayor doesn't really readily give us that information. He actually blocks both me and Trustee Griffith out totally, and that's a fact. But like I said, moving forward as your mayor, we would definitely take care of everybody in this room. That includes all of you. Thank you.
One of the questions here says, what is your plan for helping the small businesses? What is your plan, Mayor Hobbs, for helping the small businesses?
My plan for helping the small businesses is to continue a working relationship with our Chamber of Commerce. Every time a new business comes into the Village of Hempstead, the Chamber not only has a wonderful grand opening, but they make sure that they have the resources to stay in business. There have been several businesses that were suffering in Hempstead, not really getting the customer base, but with working with the Chamber, we put things in place to help those businesses be successful. It is important that you have a strong Chamber of Commerce. That's how you grow business in the Village of Hempstead.
I would definitely be setting up meetings with the businesses on a regular basis, monthly basis, to sit down and talk with them to figure out ways in which the village can also help those businesses to thrive here, along with working with the Chamber of Commerce together, collaboratively, to lift everyone up as to leave nobody behind. Thank you.
So we talked about communication between the mayor and the trustees. One of the questions says, have you ever sent the email instructing village employees to withhold information from other board members? Mayor Hobbs?
Absolutely not. So as a trustee, you have the right to obtain information from departments. But it says in the municipal law that it cannot interfere with what they are presently doing. So there was an issue where one of our trustees was trying to get information from the police department. They wanted 4 years of information. At that time, our police department was working on updating what is called a FLOP system technology that helps us track crime. Unfortunately, we just recently had a shooting in Hempstead, and it's been, a homicide in Hempstead. It's been going on 2 years that we didn't have a homicide. We had one, but it was arrest made the next day because of that technology that we've been working on. So we tried to put things in order. We had to get that information in order to get FLOP working. So that's why it was a delay. But I never instruct anybody not to give information.
Thank you, Mayor Hobbs. Mr. Boone, if elected, how will you communicate with your trustees?
I would definitely be sharing all information with the trustees, not hiding anything from anyone. And as far as what the mayor said, about not instructing people to give information to trustees. That's not true. I've sat down with certain people or certain supervisors here in this village that told me, Kevin, I would love to give you this information, but the mayor forbid me. And that they've got emails to that. There have been other letters sitting down to that. Actually, there have been meetings where they basically just talked about not giving me any information, and that came from this mayor, and that's a fact.
I'm sorry, so, because that's a strong statement. But if you're a trustee, and you have the authority to get that information.
Hold on a second, Mayor Hobbs, hold on a second.
If a supervisor didn't give it to you.
Hold on a second, Mayor Hobbs. So, we can't have the rebuttals, so that's the whole thing. We can't have the rebuttals. They're questions, these are questions that came from you. So we get the questions, we ask the questions, we get an answer, we can't get a rebuttal, okay? We get the ask and answer. That's what we're doing. Ask and answer.
But can we have lives?
Ask and answer.
Lives? That's what we're doing?
So
You should be able to produce the email.
So, she's asking the questions to the candidates. One answer from each candidate. That is it. Excuse me. Please, please.
Can you produce the email?
I didn't ask anybody from the audience about anything. That's the way it is. Be respectful. If it's one for one, then it's one for one. That's it. Go ahead, Rob.
that's it. That's it. You gotta make your votes count, but they get to have the ask and answer question. So the next question is gonna go to you, Mayor Hobbs, because there's several questions in here about a recent trip to El Salvador.
Oh, great.
And then this question, this page is a questioning. So my first question, it says, did you take your security detail to El Salvador?
So that wasn't a recent trip. That was my first year being in office. We was invited to El Salvador because we have a large El Salvadorian community. I am not allowed, as mayor, now they was willing to pay for the whole trip, but it is against the law, and we know what happened with Mayor Adams and others, for me to allow a country to pay for my way to go to El Salvador. I thought it was important to go there so that we can have a better understanding of the community that we serve. I took the chief of police over there with us because we developed relationships. So some of the gang activities that we were dealing with here, the president over there put an end to it. So it's finding how to work together. So yes, as mayor, sometimes you got to get out of Hempstead to get things done.
Thank you, Mayor Hobbs. Mr. Bull, if elected mayor, would you go on fact-finding trips to better serve your community?
It really depends on what the fact-finding trips are. I don't believe that a trip to El Salvador is a fact-finding trip when you have the El Salvadorian population right here. I don't need to go to El Salvador to find out what's going on with them here. I'll just talk to the residents that are here. I don't need to leave the country. But there are other things that you would have to do, like in DC, Albany, and other places where you would have to go to meet with other elected officials. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. So there are many civic associations here in the community of Hempstead. How well are you working with them, Mayor Hobbs?
I meet with the civics a lot. And many of them are here today. When we was first elected, our civics sort of, not all of them, but some of them was dying off. So we got together with the mayor's office to re-engage our civics in the different communities and neighborhoods that didn't have civics formed. We formed a new civic since I've been in office to make sure that our civics work together. We will, if re-elected, we will be having our civic roundtable, where we just don't meet with certain civics, but all of our civics within the community, because that's important.
Mr. Boone, how would you work with the civics, and have you worked with them before now?
Yes, I have worked with the civics, and I will continue to work with the civics as a mayor, meeting with them on a regular basis to hear the civics, the residents' needs and their concerns, and work with them to see that those issues get rectified.
Thank you. So, we all know that there are several things happening within the country. What are you doing in the village, or what would you do to ensure that things that are happening in DC, how are they going to affect your village community? What would you do? What are you doing to reach out to your senators and your assembly people in DC, as well as New York State? Mayor Hobbs.
I will continue with the relationships that I have on the federal and state level. I'm not only an attendee of the New York Conference of Mayors, I'm a member of the policy committee. I'm not only an attendee of the African American Mayors Association. I am a committee member of safety and community development. So by having those positions, we continue to make sure that what's ever happening on a national level, that we know the impact that it's going to have on a local level. That's what mayor conferences do. And again, unlike others, I just don't attend it. I am a committee person, and I run many of the organizations.
Thank you, Mayor Hobbs. Mr. Boone, what would you do?
Could you repeat the question, please?
The question is, in the current state of America, what would you do to ensure that your village, the things that are trickling down, what would you do to ensure that your village was taken care of?
I would meet regularly as much as possible with our state senators, our legislators, Congress, like Laura Gillen, being in contact with them to find out what's going on all different levels, anything that would be affecting the Village of Hempstead, so that we can head things off actually before they would happen here to cause an issue. You know, be proactive rather than reactive. Head things off so that we can kind of deal with what's coming, so that we know that our village residents know that they're coming.
Thank you. So in starting your meetings or making your agendas, Mr. Boone, how would you go about making your agenda, and would your trustees be involved in making the agenda?
I would definitely let the trustees be involved in making the agenda and adding things to the agenda, because that's important, because you have to work together as a team. You don't want to make anybody feel like they're not wanted, or you don't want to make them feel like you're not working with them. So letting them have input is very important. And we all can't come together to do that, because we have something called sundown law, where three of us cannot meet at the same time because it constitutes a meeting. So we can't do that. So you can meet with just one of them, and then the next one on another meeting where you can sit down and meet with everybody, find out if they have anything that they would like to add to that agenda, and have it put on. I would definitely do that.
Thank you, Mr. Boone. Mr. Hobbs, is there anything that you would do different than what you're doing now to meet with your trustees?
I will continue to do what we're doing. When it comes to an agenda, our meetings are on Tuesday. Every trustee gets an agenda the Friday before that Tuesday. So if there's any questions on the agenda, if you want to talk about it, you could do it before the board meeting. Not only that, trustees should realize that as a trustee, I was a trustee before I was mayor, I don't need the mayor's permission to bring an agenda item on. As a trustee, you have the right to do that. So you don't need the mayor's permission to do it, you can do it. So my question is, if you don't know how to operate your authority with what you have now, what are you going to do when you become mayor?
My next question is there anything that you would do different than your predecessor if elected? Mr. Boone?
I definitely would. First of all, I would actually let the trustees do their jobs. I wouldn't strangle them, I wouldn't hog-tie them. As he said about, you know, he stopped me from doing a lot of things here. He can say whatever he wants, that's a fact. He stopped different supervisors from working with me. That's a fact. Can you repeat the question though so I can get those?
I said, what would you do different than your predecessor?
I would definitely treat people with respect. I would work with my trustees. I would work with the residents here. I would allow them to have a voice, to be heard. I wouldn't look down upon nobody, because the thing is, you guys elected us, not the other way around. So we're not supposed to be put on a pedestal to look down on anybody. We're beholden to you, nobody else. I'm not tied to any party, so I'm not beholden to Jay or nobody else. My thing is to do for the residents in this room, and that's what we're gonna do.
Mayor Hobbs, in light of everything that you've heard and seen and gone through since you've been mayor, is there anything that you would do different?
Well, when I think about my time as mayor, and even the slate that ran with me, we believe in doing a democratic process. There's a screening committee that screened the trustee candidates. If I could have my way, I wish I could pick who runs with me. But we do allow the Democratic Party to screen the candidates, because I don't stop them from doing their job. I stopped them from getting in trouble like the village was a couple of years ago when a trustee overstepped their boundary. So yes, I stopped our trustee from harassing residents that's trying to have a picnic and telling them, let me see your driver's license, do you live in Hempstead? I stopped them from driving around with lights and sirens, just as a firefighter acting like a police officer. So yes, I'm gonna stop him from doing things he shouldn't do.
I don't have sirens in my car.
All right. At this time, I'm gonna give each of you, give me 5 minutes.
No, that's way
5 minutes?
2 minutes? 2 minutes, closing argument, 5 minutes would be way too much.
2 minutes. We're gonna give you 2 minutes. Mayor Hobbs?
No. Trustees first, mayor's last.
I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, we're gonna start down here. Everybody's gonna get 2 minutes for their closing arguments. I'm sorry, I forgot.
That's okay.
All right, Mr. Ramirez, you get the first 2 minutes.
Hello. As you've seen today, I may not have done my best. I have my weaknesses. I've never been in this kind of position before. But one day I realized that we weren't doing good as a village, and we could always be doing better. And so when I say I want to do the hard work, this is the hard work. This is part of the hard work. I have my weaknesses. I was terrified to come up here to talk to all of you. I'll be the first to recognize my weaknesses. But I came up here. I started talking. I'm doing the hard work. And I will continue to do the hard work for all of you, for the residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for having the courage to step up. That's what we need, more people to step up. Mr. Whitaker?
Bishop.
So I cannot speak as a sitting trustee, but as a candidate from December 12th being selected to December 13th being informed of my selection to become a trustee. I hold in my hand as a candidate a complete list from a tenant association meeting and the Board of Housing meeting, listening to issues, complaints, and problems. Not only do I hold issues, complaints, and problems, but as a candidate, I have been able, with the proper instructions from the mayor and the issues committee, to learn as a candidate what to do and what not to do. And if I, as a candidate, can bring resolutions to 260 Clinton, as a trustee, I will bring resolutions to the entire village of Hempstead.
Let's let everybody get their 2 minutes. Let's let everybody get their 2 minutes.
I am a current trustee, and I have served for the past 4 years. I have served for the past 4 years. And in those 4 years, I have answered phone calls at 4 o'clock in the morning. I have given up opportunities to hang out with my own family for this village. I have traveled all the way to Albany. I have slept in the cold. There is nothing that I haven't done for this village. I have proved time and time again. I have traveled going to NAACP to learn about this village, because the only way to do leadership is to learn. You can't learn what to do when it comes to governing a community if you don't listen to the people and you don't take classes. I took classes for 4 years. I understand how it operates. I work with the Chamber of Commerce next to the president. I also work with our seniors that when they call me, I show up. When the apartment buildings have issues, I show up. I never not show up. I show up at every single time someone calls me. As a woman, I take the disrespect. Why? For you. Because I see no reason why I shouldn't. Because that's what you elected me to do. To be the voice of the people. And to work for you. And to make sure that we deliver when you guys need certain things done. I have done that time and time again, and I will not stop. But what I can tell you is that, guess what? A person once said that if you could take off your shoes and walk with the people and feel their pain, you'll understand what it is to govern a community. And I have done that. In the bitter cold, in the bitter night. When people call me for food, I show up. I have always shown up. Never once have you knocked on my door and I said I'm not coming. I have always shown up, and I'm here tonight. Some of us are teachers. Some of us are pastors. So guess what? It might sound great coming out their mouth, but can they really deliver what needs to be done? I have done that as a village trustee, and I will continue to do that. I will continue to stand this ground, and I will not back up. Vote Row B all the way, the Boom team.
Thank you so much. I am focused on unity and progress. And one of the things that I will do if elected trustees, I will do certain things for our seniors. One thing I will do is increase the limit for tax exemptions so they can enjoy tax exemption. In addition, I will give the seniors a discount to be able to park in the Village of Hempstead. I will implement that for our seniors. In addition to that, I want to bring up something that I keep hearing about disrespect. I have not served as a trustee of the Village of Hempstead. However, I have known Mayor Hobbs for over 20 years, and I have served with him in other capacities, in different capacities. And I have never been disrespected, and I have never disrespected. It would be my honor to serve with you, to work with you for the Village of Hempstead residents. In addition to that, I will continue to work with the youth, opening doors, working with the mayors. I work with mayors. I work in federal areas. I work with people that would be able to open doors for our youth and giving them jobs, helping them to secure scholarships so our children in the Village of Hempstead could afford to go to college. In addition to that, I have, again, over 20 years of government. I serve on the IDA board. I am president of a corporation that is being built to house seniors right now. And it would be my honor to bring all those resources and services to the Village of Hempstead. It is the Village of Hempstead where I live, where I raise my children, helping our family thrive. And I vow to honor and respect both the community and the the leadership. I hope I can count on you to remember me and vote roll A all the way on Tuesday, March 18th. Remember us.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. Mr. Moore?
I was about to say pass a collection plate. Thought we was at church.
That's the
Anyway.
anointing.
This team right here that I've assembled, like I said, represents the village. It represents you. We are here for you. You heard what Trustee Griffith said. You heard what Kevin said. I too have been up answering phones from residents at 3 o'clock in the morning when they call me when they have an issue. Just like I get up and I answer the calls when this pager goes off for fires. I get up, I've been doing that as a fireman here in this village for 29 years. My integrity speaks for itself. Nobody can sit there and take anything about my integrity or who I am as a person at all. First and foremost, I love this village. I'm born and raised here, went through the elementary school, through high school, worked in this village for over 30 years. I care. I know how this village moves. I've got to work in different places in the village of Hempstead, yes. But the thing is, even during that time, there was one time where I did not take a job because an employee came to me, Kiko, in the back, can contest, came to me and sat down and said, Kev, would you do me a favor and just not take the position? Kiko got that job. So yeah, I did do that for him. So it's not, I don't make it about myself, and as a mayor, I will never make it about myself. We will make it about you guys, and I promise that. We are here for you. I am not here to increase my paycheck every year because I can. It's not about that. We are going to be boots on the ground for the residents of this incorporated village of Hempstead, and that's what we're going to do.
Thank you, Mr. Boone. Mayor Hobbs?
Sure. First of all, I would like to say that your wannabe mayor just violated a personnel issue by calling out a personnel. You cannot talk about employees in public. That's the first thing. And this is the type of things that we're trying to keep them from getting in trouble. And listen, I want you to know, look at the work that has been done. I'm not here to talk about complaints, because all they do is talk about the things that we all know, but they don't have any solutions. Sleeping outside in the cold with the homeless is not helping the homeless. Come up with solutions. We've come up with solutions over 4 years. Vote roll A all the way, and we continue to move forward. Thank you.
I would like to say thank you to each and every one up here. I wish all of you good luck. Community, please remember to go out and vote. And I'm going to turn it over to our president.
I want to let you all know, thank you. I want to let you all know that on Monday, March the 24th, we will be here at Kennedy Memorial Park. I'm loud. On Monday,
Get the mic here.
I'm good, right?
Yeah.
This mic is
March
better.
the 24th at 7 p.m. we will be celebrating 5 remarkable women. Please join us. It's at 7 o'clock, and it'll be quite the evening. I want to thank you all for coming out this evening. I want to thank each and every one of you, and all the best to all of you.
Thank you.
And have a good night. Thank you for coming.